Welcome to tonight's edition of Sports Talk Live. It is Friday, May 19th, 2023. It is just past 9:15 on the East Coast. And welcome to tonight's show. It's going to be jam-packed. Got a lot of stuff going on. Really excited for the topics that are at hand. We got playoff hockey on at this moment. We got playoff basketball on this moment. The Dallas Stars just scored a goal to go up 1-0 on the Vegas Golden Knights. Almost headed into the first intermission. So the games that are going on right now probably won't be talked about much tonight, but the games that have happened in the past few days will be talked about tonight. A lot of topics: NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm going to do a European football preview for this weekend. There's a few good games this weekend. And whatever else comes to mind. So let's get right into it. Let's start with NBA playoffs. Right now, it's the Heat and Celtics are playing right now. The Heat are up 1-0 in that series with another Jimmy Butler masterclass in that first game. But let's talk about this Lakers-Nuggets series. Nuggets went up 2-0 last night after a 108-103 victory in Denver. Jamal Murray, 23-point fourth quarter, leads the charge for the Nuggets to win this game. What an interesting series this is. The Lakers have very much shown up in both games. They probably would win both games if, somebody on the Lakers each game seems to go cold shooting, and that's the downfall for the Lakers. LeBron couldn't make his shots or free throws in game one. Game two, I think it was Austin Reeves that was just missing. Anthony Davis, he's had a few okay games. The Lakers just have to be perfect to win games in this series, and I think that's very much showing. The Nuggets are a very overpowering team. Nikola Jokic, very overpowering player. Like I said in previous video, he probably should have won MVP this year again, but he didn't. Joel Embiid won it. Again, Joel Embiid's a very good player. It's a deserved MVP, but I still think Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now. And he's leading this Nuggets team to places they haven't been in a long time. Is it going to be I don't think this is going to continue to be a trend. I don't think the Nuggets are going to sweep the series. If they do, I will be very shocked. But now we're getting a change of scenery. It's going to LA. Going to be a very different environment compared to Denver. And we're going to see what the Nuggets do. It's going to be a really interesting series. Game 3, I believe, is tomorrow night as of recording. And it's going to be... The Nuggets haven't really totally been challenged this playoffs, I guess I would say. Yes, the Suns kind of gave them a few games, but it wasn't like that factor, I guess. The Lakers are going to possess a challenge, especially in LA, for these Nuggets, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Like I said, the Heat and the Celtics are playing right now. Game 1 was a Jimmy Butler masterclass. He's going to carry this team to the finals if they win this series. I know a lot of people are saying, the Heat basically don't have a shot. Well, they won game 1, so I think they very much have a shot. So I guess we'll see. It's going to... Like I said, it's going to take a lot for the Heat to win this series, including more Jimmy Butler just going off. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. So that's what's going on in the association right now. No really new coaching hires as of this moment. No really coaching news as of this moment. Really the only news to come out is the All-Star game might be switching back to Eastern Conference versus Western Conference, which... It is what it is. It's the All-Star game. Defense isn't going to be played anyways. They have something going with the Elam ending, but it can be East-West. It can be captains drafting teams before the game, I don't think it's going to matter. It's still going to be a game people are going to watch if they want to and not watch if they don't want to, because there's just it turns into a shooting fest and you're taking half court shots because the game doesn't matter. So, well, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But like I said, nothing newsworthy from the association happening right now. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out. So now we're gonna move into the NHL. What a game last night! Game 1 of the series between the Carolina Hurricanes and Florida Panthers goes to 4 overtimes. The Panthers end up winning on Matthew Tkachuk goal with 13 seconds left in the 4th overtime. So we were 13 seconds away from a 5th overtime, which would be 8 periods of hockey in one day. That would have been insane. The game ended like around 1:50 a.m. Eastern time. So in Raleigh, it was, quite late. But that building was still quite packed, making noise. And it's something you like to see. Like people are like, oh, it's 4 Sunbelt teams in the playoffs and it's not going to be good ratings. Well, it's still good hockey. Last night's game was absolutely outstanding. You get to 4 overtimes, you're getting some pretty outstanding play. Sergei Bobrovsky had 63 saves in 7 periods of hockey, basically. Absolutely outstanding game. Can't really say anything bad about either team. Both teams just looked gassed by the end of it, as you would playing 7 periods of hockey. But Game 2's tomorrow night. It's going to be interesting to see what teams both look like, because they got to be fatigued. 7 periods of hockey. That's a lot. The game ended, or it started at 8, so that's almost 7 hours of hockey too, because you got to figure each period's about like 50 minutes. But like I said, outstanding game. Very, very fun game to watch, even at 1:50 in the morning, and you just kind of want to go to sleep. But one thing I do want to talk about this game, the people on the internet that are saying, we need a shootout in the playoffs. After 2 overtimes, we need to make it 3-on-3, or we need to go straight to the shootout. Stop. This is the playoffs. This is tradition. These games, these 4 or 5 overtime games, come around maybe once every 5 years. Enjoy it. It's not like it's every game is going to 5 overtimes. If that was the case, yes, I might consider, going to a shootout or going 3-on-3. You don't want gimmick hockey in the playoffs. That is just absolutely insane if you're going to do gimmick hockey to end a playoff game. It's a 7-game series. You're supposed to just absolutely grueling to the just inch. You need every inch, and you want that goal to be fair. You don't want it in 3-on-3 hockey. You want to win a playoff game in a shootout. It's absolutely just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Just stop trying to mess with tradition and just keep it. It's a good tradition. Like I said, you get 4 or 5 overtime games once every 5 years, it seems. Yes, the last one was in the bubble. That was 2020. But still, it rarely happens. Just enjoy the hockey. You're getting great hockey. The players look fatigued in the 4th or 5th overtime, as they should. But still, this is the playoffs. There's nothing like it, and we shouldn't be messing it up because you Eastern Coast folks want to go to sleep early. You know what time it was when the game ended in LA or Seattle? It was 11 p.m. They still could have won another few periods, but since it was at 2 a.m., you guys were complaining that the game went too long. Just deal with it and enjoy the hockey. and that's my rant for tonight. That just really annoyed me. Some people on Twitter like, oh, this game's going too long. Just stop. The other series, like I mentioned, it's currently in the first intermission. Dallas is leading 1-0. Kind of surprised by that. I'm kind of thinking Vegas is going to go through in this series. I feel like Vegas has all the pieces this year, and all the pieces are also falling into place. If Vegas had to play Colorado, I'd probably pick Colorado. But also, Jake Ottinger for the Stars, he's been an absolutely outstanding goaltender this playoffs. So, honestly, either team I can see going through. I know Aiden Hill is the goalie for the Knights. It was game 4 or 5 he came in for the Golden Knights, and he's been playing ever since. Am I worried about him? A little bit. But I still think Vegas has the star power to go through. No pun intended. But like I said, I can see either team going through in this series. And I just realized I didn't give my prediction for the other series. It should be Carolina. But Florida seems to be the hottest team in hockey right now. I believe that last night was their 7th straight road playoff win. They look unstoppable right now, if I'm honest. Sergei Bobrovsky can stop, it seems like, absolutely anything. Now that I say that, he'll give up 7 goals tomorrow. But the Florida Panthers look like a team of destiny right now. Sergei Bobrovsky looks like a just write-in for the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is playoff MVP. If they get there, the Panthers look like a team of destiny right now. Even though the Hurricanes are the better team, the Panthers just look like a team of destiny. And at this point, I think they might win the Cup. I really do. Like I said, team of destiny. It's all about what team gets hot in the playoffs, and that is the Florida Panthers right now. I thought this team that we're about to talk about, the Maple Leafs, were a team of destiny, especially after getting out of the first round, but then losing in 5 to the Panthers. I think that team of destiny passes down to the next team, and it might be this Panthers team. We got to see how Carolina comes out tomorrow, but if Florida goes up 2-0 in this series and heads back to Sunrise, it might be curtains for the Hurricanes. I don't think it will get swept. I think we'll go 5, just like it did with the Leafs, but man, the Hurricanes we're getting to almost must-win scenario tomorrow, even as crazy as that sounds. I just think the Panthers are that good. So as I mentioned, the other team that I'm wearing, the big news today for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they part ways, I put that in air quotes, with general manager Kyle Dubas. This is very, very interesting. So Dubas has spent 9 years within the organizations with MLSE, which is the ownership group of the Maple Leafs. This was just his 5th season as general manager. And the timeline of this just it seems strange. So just kind of give you a quick rundown of what the timeline seems to be looking like. So president of hockey operations, Brendan Shanahan, Kyle Dubas, his agent, they were negotiating for what seemed to be weeks/months, to get a deal done, because Dubas' contract was up at the end of the season. Maple Leafs chose not to extend him going into this season because they obviously wanted to see how it played out. The Leafs obviously get out of the first round for the first time in 19 years. Kind of seemed like, okay, it kind of seems like a lock that Dubas is staying. They lose in 5. Kyle Dubas at some point was presented a contract, we believe, He said he's not going to deal with it until the end of the season, but it seemed like he didn't have really any concerns with what was offered him at the time. So season ends. Apparently, Shanahan suggested that neither him or Dubas speak to the media until the contract's done. Dubas says, I want to speak to the media, and Shanahan respects the decision. So Dubas meets with the media on Monday. He's asked a question about his future, and Dubas goes completely honest, and he said, I'm not sure if I want to be back next year. He said it was rough this year on his family and that he just needs to take time to think, which I think every person deserves time to think. And apparently, Shanahan didn't like these comments, which somewhat understandable. I get where Shanahan's somewhat coming from here. You have an employee that's saying, he's not sure if he's committed for next year and that, he just needs time to think. So apparently Shanahan doesn't like this. He sees a lot of hesitation with Dubas. So we're not sure if it's a negotiation tactic on Dubas' side or not. Apparently Dubas and Shanahan did not talk until yesterday. Dubas sent an email to Shanahan that said, I want to be the general manager of the Leafs next season. He said he talked it out with his family, and, they agreed to things, and that Dubas was ready to commit. Then Dubas' agent apparently sends Shanahan a contract of what they want, and Shanahan basically goes, you know what? No, we're done. And that's when the statement comes out around noon today that Dubas has parted ways. Now, then Shanahan hosts a press conference today and basically explains, that he didn't like what Dubas said in the press conference. This is just, it's such an interesting situation because I've never seen a team go from, hey, we are probably this close, especially after winning a playoff series, to completely blowing it up in that short of a time span. I mean, this Leaf, I'm just going to say, I think Dubas was, I know his contract was up, but it feels like a firing. There's going to be a lot of interesting decisions that are made by this next general manager because from what it sounds like, there's nobody happy in that locker room right now that Dubas was let go. I guess that's a better word than firing. Let go. There's not a lot of people happy right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think if Dubas was back next year, they're mostly running it back with what they had. And now it's all up in the air. I think Keefe is out now, the head coach, because that was a Dubas hiring. I wouldn't be surprised if 3 of the 4 core 4 are traded. I think the only one that can't be traded is Tavares because he has a no trade clause. Now Matthews and Marner have one that kick in on July 1st. And I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen the last of the core 4. It's just such an odd decision by the Leafs. I understand where Shanahan's coming from. You want somebody 100% committed to the job, and with Dubas, having some hesitancy, understandable. But he seems to be the future of hockey, kind of. I mean, he's only 37 years old. He was still the youngest general manager at the time in the league. And, he did this press conference. It was obviously emotional. They were just coming off a second-round loss to the Florida Panthers. And, you have to have time to think about things. I think it was poorly played on both sides, but I'm shifting more of the blame to Shanahan because Shanahan's shifting a lot of the blame on Dubas. I I've always thought that Shanahan in that organization, it's kind of like a what do you do here type situation. And I thought going into this offseason, he'd be the one gone, not Dubas or Keefe or any of the players. So it's interesting to see how this works within MLSE, which is the ownership group. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out because, I feel like you have to make a hire somewhat quick if you're the Leafs. It will be interesting to see if they stay in-house and promote the assistant general manager who's getting interviews for other general manager jobs around the league, or if they go outside. And if they go outside, is it somebody that's on a cup run right now? Because then you kind of got to wait until that cup run's over for whatever general manager you want, basically. It's just, this is such an odd decision by the Leafs organization, but I can't say I'm surprised because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that is hockey talk for today, I guess. Like I said, just an absolute baffling decision by the Leafs organization, but can't say I'm surprised. So let's take a quick kick around the pitch. We are headed into the final weeks of the European soccer season. The Premier League and Bundesliga have 2 weeks left. La Liga, I believe, has 3. And Serie A, I believe, has 2 or 3. I can't put an exact number on that. But still, there are 2 major title races right now. The other 3 seem to be locked up, with 2 of them actually being locked up. Barcelona has already won La Liga, and Napoli has already won Serie A. PSG seems to be on their way to Liga, which isn't a surprise to anybody. But the Premier League, we thought the title was over in January. We thought Arsenal was going to run away with it, but what did they do? They bottled it. Don't let anybody tell you different. Oh, we weren't competing for the title this year. We just wanted top 4. No, you bottled the league. You were in the lead for 95% of the season. And guess what? You're losing the title. You bottled the league. Given that, Man City can officially clinch the league this weekend. They play on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time against Chelsea, a team that's just an absolute free fall right now. But Mauricio Pochettino is basically signed as the new manager. Frank Lampard interim era is coming to a quick end, thankfully, for Chelsea fans. But City can win the league this weekend with a win against Chelsea. Also, if Arsenal lose or draw on Saturday, I believe they are at Nottingham Forest, then it would only take a draw for Man City to win the title. So, basically, Arsenal bottled the league. Man City's winning the title. Parts of North London are happy by this, and other parts are trying to write new narratives about how football is played. Also, this weekend, the games are just absolutely outstanding for the Premier League. Every game either has a battle for a European position, a battle to stay alive in the league and avoid relegation, or both. You very rarely get a weekend where all the teams seem to be competing for something in each of the games. And this, it came at a perfect time. We got 2 weeks left in the season. You have, on Monday, it's Newcastle versus Leicester City. Newcastle is getting close. They might be able to clinch a Champions League spot on Monday. Leicester, I believe, can be relegated on Monday. So you rarely see that happening where you got 2 teams fighting for 2 very different things playing this late into the season. So very excited by that. And it should just be a great weekend of football in England in general. So the other big title fight in the Bundesliga, there's 2 weeks left. So 2 games left, 6 total points at play. It is Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, 2 teams fighting at the top. Only a point separate them right now. With Munich still in the lead, if both teams win their 2 games, it's Munich winning the title. Would be an 11th straight year. But this game this weekend, very tricky for them. They're at home against RB Leipzig. That is Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this could be the game. If they drop points, Dortmund can easily capitalize, and that could be the title race gone for Bayern Munich. They need to be on their A game for these last 2 games. It's the home game against Leipzig, and they go away at Cologne in the final game of the season. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think Munich still win the league, but I think it would be better for the league if Dortmund won. But like I said, I think Munich still is the better team, and they should get the job done. But you do never know, especially against when you're playing RB Leipzig tomorrow. They're number 3 in the league right now, so it's not like they're playing a relegation side. So going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. I believe Hertha Berlin can be relegated this weekend in the Bundesliga, which would just be, it's been a complete downfall for them this year. If you want to look into that story, that's a very interesting story of how this team has basically collapsed, and what's happening within the organization right now there. And then going over to Italy, the title race is already decided. As I mentioned earlier, Napoli has already clinched the Scudetto, but they're playing at home at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona this weekend against Inter Milan, who just clinched their spot in the Champions League final. That game is at Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time. This just should be an outstanding game to watch. I mean, both teams are still very good. Obviously, Napoli don't have anything to play for anymore. They've already clinched the title. But, I mean, this should still be an absolutely amazing game of football. For Inter Milan, the race for Champions League spot is still very much alive. Only a few points separate 2nd and 5th. 5th or 6th. I don't remember which one. I think it's 5th. But it's only like 4 or 5 points separate all those teams. Inter Milan is, I believe, in 3rd place right now behind Juventus, and then it's AC Milan. So it's going to be a really entertaining game. Also, just to mention, the 2 other European finals were decided yesterday. The Europa League final, which will be in 2 weeks' time, is going to be Sevilla. The 6-time Europa League winners have never lost a Europa League final against AS Roma. Jose Mourinho never lost a European final. You've got 2 just basically European narratives going head-to-head and who's going to lose their winning streak. That's going to be an absolutely amazing game of football to watch. If you watched the Leverkusen-Roma game yesterday, you would have seen Joseba just absolutely at its finest. Leverkusen had like 23 shots on goal yesterday, like 76% percentage of possession percentage, and it ended 0-0. That's just a Mourinho masterclass. And then the other one in the Europa Conference League is going to be Fiorentina against West Ham United. That's going to be another amazing game of football. We'll preview those as those games get closer. That game is in 3 weeks' time, and then the Champions League final is also in 3 weeks' time, as I mentioned in the previous video. That's going to be Man City versus Inter Milan, and that's going to be another interesting game to watch. I won't say it's going to be entertaining, but those will be previewed as we get closer. So to end tonight, we had some sad news out of the football world today. Jim Brown dies at the age of 87. probably the greatest football player of all time. In my book, he is. On the field, he was absolutely outstanding. Off the field, not the greatest human being. He did help with some civil rights, but he was also not great. So if we look at the lens of the football player, he's the greatest football player of all time. He's got some records that will never be broken. He's Mr. Brown, even though the team's not named after him, but he's Mr. Brown, best Browns player of all time. I hardly see him getting topped as the best Browns player of all time. I'm a Browns fan. The Browns helmet has adorned the bookshelf tonight. He averaged over 100 yards a game in his 9-year career. People forget that he retired at like the age of 29. He probably could have kept going. Played in a completely different era in the NFL. He was a defensive back type player playing running back. He would run over you if you tried to tackle him, and he was going to take you along for the ride. He won a title for Cleveland. I believe they made it to 3 championship games with him on the team. They won 1, and it's obviously in the later years, it kind of kept going more and more. We're getting close to the end. You could see it each time because they bring him out to one Browns game a year. You could tell the end was near, and that end has come today. So for a great football player, not a great human, it is the end of an era. And maybe it's not, I'm just talking myself into things here, but maybe this is the year that the Browns do it for Jim and they actually do something. I don't think they will because they're the Cleveland Browns, but it is the end of an era, and Jim Brown, the football player, will be missed. So we're going to end the show there. Thank you for watching. If you stumble upon this and really liked it, hit like, hit subscribe. We'll be back soon. Not sure when. Sunday, Monday, maybe. We'll see. There's a lot of things that could happen in the sports world, and so you never know. So thank you for coming to Sports Talk Live, and we will see you again very soon.